Hell yeah, dude. Son of a nutcracker. Today is a good day. We are blessed. We are got energy. We got good sleep. We're back. We've been at it for a while, but I'm feeling like extra energetic right now. I had some good ass dinner. A little ground turkey with some feta cheese, diced tomatoes, along with some carne asada rancho seasoning. It's bomb. Um, I'll show you. It was a little hasty there. Come here. I need you to get over here. Like, what's that from? Well, I know it's from Fatality, Mortal Kombat, Scorpion. Fight. All right, we got 10 quotes here. We're gonna pick and choose which ones are best, and whichever ones are good, we'll place the keepers right over here. All right, 10 inspirational additional, because we already did 10 and then I typed up a few earlier, and you can see that on the other video. I think office hours number 73. Check it out. Don't it doesn't matter. Perfect day. Hold on. Wait, 10 inspirational and impactful quotes from notable figures born on July 20th. So born on this day in history. Oh yeah. All right, so number one, my perfect day is sitting in a room with some blank paper. That is Cormac McCarthy, Pulitzer Prize winning novelist and playwright. Lame. Yeah, I'm not saving that one. Two, you forget what you want to remember and you remember what you want to forget. Cormac McCarthy. I mean, that's solved by just distracting yourself and getting new information. Another one I'm probably not going to use. You are either born a writer or you are not. That is super dumb. No, you're not. You can learn to write. Cormac McCarthy, you're not really doing too well here. You got three that are you're over 3 here. All right. Four. Change is not a threat, it is an opportunity. Oh, here we go. Boom. Carlos Santana with the juicy bits. Here we go. Carlos Santana. You know what's up, dude. All right. This guy knows he's opened his mind. This guy knows what's up. All right. Change is not a threat, it's an opportunity. Survival is not the goal. Transformative success is. Hells yeah, dude. All right, cool. Carlos Santana, musician and songwriter. All right. You got that enlightenment, sir. Cool. Cormac McCarthy, you can learn something from Carlos Santana. I don't know if that guy's still around, so maybe he's not learning anything else anymore. Number 5, when you carry joy in your heart, you can heal any moment. Aw, very sentimental. I like it. That's cute. That's adorable. Carlos Santana again. 6, nature doesn't hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Sir Edmund Hillary, mountaineer and explorer, reflecting on endurance and patience. All right, that's cool. I guess you can refer to evolution. I guess could be useful. Maybe for like neotech biological or something. Or Infinity Academy, logical curriculum. 7, if you don't step out of your comfort zone, you'll never know what you're truly capable of achieving. Gisele Bundchen, nice. Fashion model and philanthropist. I'll give you a follow on Instagram. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders. Number 8, consistency and discipline are the silent partners of every major achievement. It's kind of a given. Just a different way of saying like that. Like it's kind of common sense, but you know, this is a different way of saying what's been said a million times before. Diligence, pertinacity. Try, do or do not. I don't know. I don't like the Yoda quotes like do or do not. There is no try. Like there's fucking try. There's practice. Like you're not gonna do it. You're not just gonna show up and win the World Series one day when you're like 10 years old and never picked up a baseball bat. Like, you can definitely try, get practice, and you'll get there eventually. Could with no practice. Was that Bruce Lee one? I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but one kick 10,000 times. Practice, persistence. A man is not a failure until the moment he gives up. Wait, hold on. A man can fail a million times, but he's not a failure until the moment he gives up. Something like that. Near and dear to my heart right there. Consistency is okay, that's by Julianne Ho or Hoff. The fuck? Gotcha, bitch. You don't belong here. This is my dojo. Player eliminated. 9. Art has the power to transform lives, shift perspectives, and build bridges where words fail. Picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, we're capable of like visualizing a lot of things, or like visual information. We're able to soak that up like that, and then words we can only understand what, like 500 words per minute or something like that, and we only retain like 25% of it. So yeah, if you understand the science behind that, it's kind of obvious. But if you don't, I guess it's very moving, very touching. Probably not going to use that myself. It's by Sandra Oh. There's a lot more nuances and other things to consider with that. Like it's part of the picture. It's like one tiny piece of the puzzle. Gonna go ahead and dismiss that one. 10. Every single challenge you face is just shaping you for the next level of your journey. Omar Epps, actor and author. Okay. Let's go. Carlos Santana. What was yours? Oh, where's yours? Moving. TFU, you're done. Okay. He might have other good stuff. Did we have others from him earlier? He had one up here. Where all the stories of man, so make it was a good one. Yeah, boring. All right, Cormac McCarthy, probably not gonna read it for sure. So put it way back on low priority, like way behind all the other stuff. I'm probably gonna get to it. Shit. God. There we go. I think what's throwing me off is transitioning between the laptop and the rest of the keyboards ever so slightly different. How do computer hackers do it? They don't feel like they have that problem. I can see a keyboard, they just throw it away. Slight invocation of Murphy's Law, possible? Make me think of Murphy's Law. Sir Edmund Hillary. I'm sure this guy was old timey, but and the before 4 times, but very forward thinking. Still applicable to today. I like it. Hit that share spell name right. Yep, we're good. I don't know how to type the U with the two dots over here, and it's fine. You get the gist. I'm sure it'll still pop up on Google. Gisele Bundchen. Let me give you a follow on Instagram before I forget. Okay, let's do some managerial counting. Definitely got to do that. Someone that can be alone self-skilled in the same mattress. Oh, goddamn. So dreams are as beautiful and sweet as you are. All right, we'll get back. All right, let's go. Let's dive straight into it. I just want to be able to send some messages and be able to check in. Did that. Let's get to work. Materials, variances. Get the video. Yeah, run into that.
Is in different.
Sorry.
The same.
I was about to call you Pam. Kim.
We'll look at the use of standard costs to calculate material variances. Standard cost variances help us break down variances in different cost aspects of units produced into their price variance, or how much of the variance is caused by the difference between the actual price and the standard price, and how much of the cost variance between budget and actual material costs.
No. I'm not getting all my texts. I wonder if I'm not getting all my messages either. Holy fucking shit. Double like. You doing your girl. All right. All right. Here we go. Oh yeah, no, it's okay. It's just like, right. I gotta respond to you. I forgot about you. You don't need to do that now. You're right. It says chapter 26 was 23. Sleeping in. Stop it.
Is due to the quantity variance, where the difference between the actual quantity of materials used as compared to the standard quantity of materials that should have been used. To calculate those variances, it's easy to view it in this little diagram form. On one side of the diagram, we're calculating the actual quantity of materials used times the actual price. In the middle of this diagram, we have the actual quantity of materials used at the standard price.
Oh.
When we take the actual quantity of materials at the actual price paid and compare it to the actual quantity
Oh, I know what that means now. Awesome. I've been enlightened.
of materials used at the standard price, we calculate the price variance, because the only difference between these two amounts is the amount of the price. This is calculated using actual price. This one is calculated using the standard price. Both of these numbers are calculated using the actual quantity. We can then take the standard quantity allowed times the standard price. The difference between the actual quantity at the standard price and the standard quantity allowed at the standard price is the quantity variance. The only difference is the quantity. Both of these are calculated based on the standard price. Quantity. Both of these are calculated based on the standard price. Both of these.
Oh. What are you trying to say here? It says actual quantity times actual price equal price variance, and then actual quantity times standard price equals price variance? Or is it actual quantity times actual price plus actual quantity times standard price? Because this is actual quantity times actual price minus standard price. Oh, this is literally the same exact thing. So actual quantity times standard price minus actual quantity times, wait, no, that's not the same thing. Actual price minus standard price times actual quantity. Okay, so if you were to take like 2 times 2, or 2 minus 2 would be, okay, that's a bad example. Well, shit. 2 minus 3, there we go. 3 minus 2, 1, fuck, still bad examples. Let's say 8 minus 7, crap, 8 minus 5, there we go, we get 3. 8 minus 5 times 6, 30. 8 minus 5 times 6 equals 30. What are we doing here? 5, 6, we got 30. Okay, cool, that's locked in. 8 times 6 is, Jesus, 48. That's not true. 8 times, wait, that is true. Yeah, 48 is 48 because the 8 times 8 is 64. Add 2 more 8s, you get 64. Yeah, we're good. 48, I'm done. Got my times tables. So I need to do that faster. 48. And 5, 6 times 5, 30. 30 minus 48, that gives you 18. That was an 8, that was a 5. 8 minus 5, 3. Oh, shit. Okay, so we got 8 and 5. Let me do this one more time. Got AQ equals 6, AP equals 8, SP equals 5. 8 minus 5 equals 3. That's with the parentheses. And then 3 times 6 equals 18. Okay. Then we got AQ 6 times 8, 48, minus 6 times 5, 30, be 18. Okay, same shit. We're good. So it doesn't really fucking matter. So actual quantity times actual price plus, no, sorry, minus. You gotta stick some minuses in there. That confused the fuck out of me. All right, well, I figured it out. Price variance formula. Let's do this. Okay. AQ times Q. Locked in, we got this. Cool, looks good. So price variance, so AQ times AP minus SP, same thing as AQ times AP minus AQ times SP. Cool. Just to remind myself. So T variance. So fun. Yeah. It's P times AQ minus SQ. AP times SP times AQ minus SQ, AP times SQ minus AQ, AP times AQ minus SQ. SP. SP times AQ minus SQ. So standard price times actual quantity minus standard quantity. Or I can say
Are calculated based on the standard price. The standard price is the amount that should have been paid for the resources or the materials that were purchased. The standard quantity is the quantity of materials that should have been used for the actual number of units produced. Example. ABC is making products with the following information. Direct material standards are to use half a pound of materials and pay a standard price of $20 per pound, or a standard material cost of $10 per unit. During May, A to C actually produced 3,500 units, and they actually used 1,800 pounds of direct materials. Their actual price paid was $21 per pound. So let's compute the material price and material quantity variances. Starting on the left side of our diagram, we are going to calculate the total actual cost, which is the actual quantity of materials used at the actual price. We actually used 1,800 pounds and paid an actual price of $21 per pound. Our total actual cost was $37,800 for our materials. Here in the center, our actual quantity of materials times the standard price. We actually used 1,800 pounds. We should have paid $20 per pound, giving us a $36,000 flexible budget amount for materials. And finally, for the total standards, the standard quantity allowed for the number of units we produced is 3,500 units with a standard of half a pound per unit. The standard quantity of materials allowed for the 3,500 units produced is 1,750 pounds. At a standard price of $20 per pound, total standard budget of $35,000 in material costs. We can now calculate the difference. The price variance is the difference between the actual cost and what the flexible budget says our cost should have been for our actual quantity, $1,800. It is unfavorable because our actual costs were greater than what our flexible budget says we should have paid for these 1,800 pounds. We paid more per pound than our standards say we should have. Now over here, we can look at our quantity variance. $36,000 based on our flexible budget, and our static budget was $35,000, a $1,000 variance. That is also unfavorable because the flexible budget says we should have used 1,800 pounds at $20 per pound. The standard says we should have used 1,750 pounds at $20 a pound for producing 3,500 units. It's unfavorable because we used more pounds of materials to make 3,500 units than our standards say we should have. Our total variance in material costs was $2,800. which is the difference between our actual material cost and what our flexible standard budget says it should have been. That $2,800 variance is due to $1,800 in a price variance. We paid more than we should have. And a quantity variance of 1,000 unfavorable because we used more than we should have. So this directs our attention to not only look at the price we're paying for materials and analyze whether we're not paying the right amount, and to look at the amount of materials we're using. Maybe we're using more materials than we should be. In this segment, we're going to look at the use of standard costs in calculating labor variances. When calculating labor cost variances, we're going to use the terms rate and efficiency instead of price and quantity. Using the same diagram format we used when evaluating direct material variances, we see that over here on the left side of our diagram, we have the actual labor cost, which is the actual hours of labor used.
Efficiency variance.
at the actual rate we paid per labor hour. Over here in the middle, we see the flexible budget, actual hours, times the standard rate that was supposed to be paid per labor hour. And finally, over here on the far right, we're seeing the total standards. Total standard hours that should have been incurred to produce the number of units produced, times the standard rate that should have been paid for the labor. The difference between the actual cost and the flexible budget is the rate variance. As you can see, the only difference in these two numbers calculation is the actual rate versus the standard rate. Both are calculated based on the number of actual hours. So we're isolating the rate here. Over here, the only difference between these two calculations is the actual hours versus standard hours used. Both calculate using the standard rate. So we are isolating the amount of labor hours used to produce the number of units. So looking at an example, our standard rates, the rate that should have been paid for the labor. The difference between the actual cost and the flexible budget is the rate variance. As you can see, the only difference in these two numbers calculation is the actual rate versus the standard rate. Both are calculated based on the number of actual hours. So we're isolating the rate here. Over here, the only difference between these two calculations is the actual hours versus standard hours used. Both calculate using the standard rate. So we are isolating the amount of labor hours used to produce the number of units. So looking at an example, our standards for direct labor, say for each unit produced, we should use 1 hour labor and pay $16 per hour, total standard cost per unit produced for labor costs of $16. So during May, ABC produced 3,500 units, and the workers worked 3,400 hours. ABC actually paid an average of $16.50 per hour for the labors worked. Let's compute the labor rate and efficiency variances. If we take the actual hours used, 3,400 labor hours, and an actual rate paid of $16.50 per hour, we calculate our total actual labor cost. If we take our actual hours used, 3,400, times what the standard rate should have been at $16 per hour, we calculate the flexible budget amount for labor of $54,400. And finally, we calculate the total overall standard, which was for the 3,500 units produced, standards say we should have used 1 hour. In other words, there are 3,500 hours allowed for the number of units produced at a standard rate of $16 per hour. The difference between the actual cost of $56,100 and the flexible cost of $54,400 give us a $1,700 rate variance that is unfavorable. It is unfavorable because our actual labor costs were greater than what our flexible budget says our cost should have been. Over here, the dollar amount of difference between the flexible budget and our overall standards was $1,600. That is an efficiency variance that is favorable because our standards say for producing 3,500 units, our cost should have been $56,000, but our labor costs were actually $54,400, resulting in an efficiency variance that is favorable. We want the amount of actual labor hours used to be less than what our standards say. The total cost variance for labor is $100, which is the difference between our actual labor cost and what our standards say our labor cost should have been. We broke that overall cost variance into how much of the variance is caused by the rate and how much of it is caused by the efficiency of labor used. We can see that we were very favorably using our labor. Our labor worked more efficiently. However, we ended up paying more for that labor.
Lost $100. Give me my hundo.
In this segment, we will look at overhead variances from standards. Overhead, our indirect costs, are applied to products using a predetermined overhead rate. To calculate that predetermined overhead rate, we take the total estimated overhead costs and divide by some estimated activity. When we actually assign the overhead, we use that predetermined overhead rate, which is entirely based on estimates, and multiply by the actual activity. When we set overhead standards, those standards contain both fixed and variable components of overhead. So the overhead cost per unit declines with increases in activity.
That's cool. I mean, if you want to homeschool your kids, they're going to be awkward as fuck. They're going to be weird as hell because they're not going to be used to like the nuances, and they're not going to be used to interacting with other kids and just like different types of kids and everything like that, or different types of people, and getting different feedback from different personalities and everything like that. They're just going to get that one personality from their parents or whatever, and they're going to be shyer. They're going to be, like I said, just awkward, man. They're not going to be accustomed or acclimated to the rest of society, and it's going to make it really hard for them to adjust. So I'm personally against homeschooling in that sense because it creates a lot of negative consequences later down the road that these kids are going to really struggle to deal with. But like say in extreme circumstances, and again, I emphasize in extreme circumstances, say they're disabled, or if for whatever reason, like you can't, I mean, education should be free and paid for by the government, but say for whatever reason you can't, like you live really far, you're out in the boonies, you're out in the middle of the forest for whatever reason, I mean, I'd recommend moving. But let's say in very, very, very extreme circumstances, which is extremely, extremely rare, maybe homeschool can be an exception. But I'd probably say public schooling. And yes, the public school system, it's not perfect. It is far from perfect, and it kind of sucks relative to what it could be or should be. But I think the cons of homeschooling definitely outweigh the pros. And so as much of a gripe or as much either animosity or conflict or contention or as much opposition as some people have to public schooling. I mean, private schooling is better than public schooling, but public schooling, even if people are opposed to it, it's going to be a lot better than the homeschooling because you're just setting your kid up for failure doing that. Or just a shit ton of struggle. They might succeed. It's probably going to be very rare, but chances of that are extremely low, but you're definitely going to set them up for a crap ton of struggles they're going to have to deal with later. And it's completely unnecessary, completely preventable. It's not a struggle that they need to go through because it's the same thing other people go through. And we've learned this, like, hey, getting feedback, expanding your network, creating more connections, getting more variability, getting more information. It's better than just being limited. You're being closed off from the world. You're like a little caveman. You're going to be like Tarzan being introduced into society. Oh, he's not going to be able to adjust. He's going to be like, fuck that. Let me go back home. And like, ugh. Say homeschooling is not the wisest choice. But like I said, in like very, 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 very extreme circumstances, we can make exceptions. But otherwise, it's going to create more problems than solves. So no, homeschooling only available in very extreme circumstances is my position.
Levels. The fixed cost decline
Go back like a second.
By the actual activity. Overhead rate, we
Video.
take the total estimated overhead costs and divide it by some estimated activity. When we actually assign the overhead, we use that predetermined overhead rate, which is entirely based on estimates and actual activity. When we set overhead standards, those standards contain both fixed and variable components of overhead. So the overhead cost per unit declines with increases in activity levels. The fixed costs decline as the activity increases, but on a per unit basis, variable costs stay the same. So to calculate the total overhead variance, we're going to be taking the difference between the actual total overhead incurred and the standard total overhead applied. That variance is broken down by two types: the controllable variance and the volume variance. The controllable variance is the difference between the actual
some reason I feel like playing that game Destiny. What's it called? The one with the big orb in the sky, and you got like the robot dude sidekick talking to you. Maybe that's why I was like something different too. Something that hit the little nostalgia button. And I got time for that. So still equals full. So
Difference between budgeted fixed and the volume variance. The controllable variance is the difference between the actual total overhead incurred and the budgeted total overhead. The volume variance is going to be the difference between budgeted fixed overhead and applied fixed overhead. Variance is is going to be the difference between budgeted fixed overhead and applied fixed overhead. So the controllable variance is the difference between actual total overhead incurred and budgeted total overhead. The controllable variance is named as such because it refers to activities that are usually under management control. So here, if actual total overhead incurred was $76.50, the amount applied overhead from the flexible budget was $7,500, resulting in a variance of $150. The controllable variance is considered unfavorable because the actual costs were greater than the budgeted amount for total overhead. The volume variance is the difference between budgeted fixed overhead and applied fixed overhead. Recall, budgeted fixed overhead is the exact same regardless of the volume of production. The applied overhead is based on the standard rate allowed at the actual volume of production, which is really using the flexible budget. So here, if the budgeted fixed overhead at a predicted capacity of 4,000 units produced is $4,000, the amount of applied fixed overhead was the estimated predetermined overhead rate at the actual volume of 3,500 units. We result in a volume variance of $500. That volume variance occurred because the company operated at a different capacity from what was expected. The budgeted production was 4,000 units and $4,000 of fixed overhead. But based on its actual level of production, only 3,500 was applied. That volume variance of $500 is considered unfavorable because the company did not reach its predicted operating level. Analyzing these variances, to help management isolate the reasons for a controllable variance, an overhead variance report can be prepared. This report will reveal where specific costs were higher or lower than expected. For a volume variance, the main
He's so stuck. Try myself. Oh, this makes me realize I need to talk to some more agents. All right, cool. Noted. Well, just because I realized it's talk about the whole connection and everything like that, but just been busy. Normally talk to plenty more people. I haven't reached out to anybody who's been trying to get this shit done. There we go. We're good. This first.
The purpose is to identify what portion of the total overhead variance is caused by failing to meet the expected production level.
Oh, sure. Okay. What was the last thing you said?
Or can be prepared. This report will reveal where specific costs were higher or lower than expected.
Cool.
For a volume variance, the main purpose is to identify what portion of the total overhead variance is caused by failing to meet the expected production.
Oh, worked out like a motherfucker earlier.
I need to take up more of this. Let's get this. Let me break. Push them up. Oh. Squeaky clean. Y'all like suckers. Got a few stragglers. Fucking bombarded this place like twice. Inundated 3 times. Coming from somewhere else. There's definitely no mess or anything in here. So I'm just vacuuming, keeping it spotless, clean. If anything, if I ever cook, just making sure I put stuff away. If I ever stomp on them, making sure they go down the toilet, not in the trash. Otherwise, apparently the guy was telling me roaches eat roaches. So luckily they're the little itty bitty ones. Downstairs, that's a different problem. I'm sure they're dealing with the big ones down there. Yeah, it's just the little guys down here. You should take my vacuum, just go start sucking them up downstairs too. Because I feel like maybe you deal with those guys. They're like the queens almost, or the kings or whatever. Deal with those, and then first thing you do is kind of keep the place clean. You can patch up that damn hole. The maintenance do that. Maintenance to do it, but they're fucking taking ages and they're not doing their jobs right. So I'm gonna give a shout out, kind of an anti-shout out, to Visconti and the Glen Apartments. So just so you're aware, they'll get an apartment here right now. It's shock. Even if they deal with this issue, this is one of many things where they just take forever to get to. If you give them a submission of some sort of complaint about something, or like even ask them like, hey, fix something, it's gonna at least take like 2 months for them to even bother to come by. And on top of that, you have to bug them. You have to let it go down to the office. So when down to the office and you submit the reports online, and it should be on there. They even tell you to do that. It's like, oh, did you file something online? Like, yes, you fucking did. You show them on your phone. They're like, oh shit, we don't have that on our system, or the system's fucked up. And you call them, they say they write it down, but they don't. So if you want like the shittiest apartment service of all time, Visconti and the Glen is the place for you. It's just like problem after problem, like compounding. It's not sure you noticed that first either. You didn't notice cabinets are like some cheap ass cabinets, not even fitted right. This shit together in the first place didn't do their job right. They didn't seal the floorboards right. It's only Mickey Mouse's job. And then for repairs, you're not, good luck getting that shit. They're not going to come by and try to help you for ages. So, if you want a good apartment, stay the fuck away from the Visconti and the Glen. This sucks. All right. Okay. We're like an hour and a half. Maybe put in at least 2 hours, so then we can do, what's it, 8 to 10 hours tomorrow? 1 4. I don't record on my work hours. I kind of, I do stuff everywhere. Well, once I'm stationary, like focused, usually here. Like I can't bring my PC just everywhere with me, so sometimes like if I'm in my bedroom or out on the patio. That's rare now. But cooking in the kitchen, bring the laptop in there with me while I'm waiting on food. I do other work beyond this, so I still want to stick to my deadlines in here though. Do a report at least 8 hours. So full shift there, and then other work I do on my own time too. So plenty of stuff for doing. Oh, wait, did we get to that? We did not. It's always everything. Oh. I need to learn to stop breathing that shit in. Say the same thing about these. Hey Google, define righteous indignation. Just want to make sure I'm accurate
On the
about
website harleytherapy.co.uk, they say, righteous indignation is anger driven by contempt. We are angry because we are disgusted at something we perceive to be morally incorrect. And because we bring our sense of morality to our indignation, we can claim it's an acceptable form of anger.
that. Pretty accurate. Hey Google, define indignation.
Here's the definition of indignation: anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment.
Self-righteous indignation. All right. Kidding me. Ugh. Better be the last one. It's annoying. Hey, still fucking see you. And it'll see you, you die. Little bug. Ugh. And you get like a tarantula or something like that. You just like let it loose. Get like a couple tarantulas. Hey Google, do tarantulas eat roaches?
On the website dragonsdiet.com, they say, tarantulas can eat 3 kinds of roaches: dubia, Turkestan, and Madagascar hissing roaches. If your tarantula is over 1.5 inches long, dubia roaches are a safe feeder option.
Maybe a lizard, one of those like bearded dragons. Get one of those roaming around here. Hey Google, would a bearded dragon eat a roach? Or what kind of lizards eat roaches? Iguanas?
On the website articles.heber.com, they say, bearded dragons can eat cockroaches, and they're one of the most nutritious foods for your beardy. For example, the ratio of calcium to phosphorus in cockroaches is excellent, which is needed for bearded dragons to have strong bones and joints.
They're very
Plus, cockroaches have more meat than most insects.
bearded dragon's gonna be ripped. So you run around chasing the roaches. It's not that many. It's enough where it's like, maybe I should get one. Good note, actually. It's not a horrible idea. I've always wanted one anyway. Got 2 birds with 1 stone. Fulfill a childhood dream. And, what to deal with these little shits. I think I can get a Gila monster, but if I can you take the venom out of the Gila monster, like to make it not poisonous? I mean, that's a big thing, and then also it might try to eat you in your sleep. The Komodo dragon, that's definitely the big fucker. That's gonna really kill you in your sleep. It's gonna really just go for the jugular, just eviscerate you, rip out your guts and everything like that. You're like, you're my buddy. He's like, you're food. That'll do. That'll do.
What's he do calling?
Servings. 22 grams of sugar. Got 88 grams of sugar in here. Perfect. That's fine. I burned it off anyway. Wait. I was doing the thing. Do the roar. Spider-Man, do a flip. Got grapes. Strawberry. Orange. Yellow. Let's go with purple first. To meet our needs, we need to use language that others understand. Me, Tarzan. You, Jane. See? I don't know how you can get more clear than that. That's what I was saying. Ooh, defective. I need to get out of the way. It has to be like even amounts in all of them. You know the technology, man. It was even amounts. So it's like perfectly like 20, 20, 20 or something like that. Ooh, not great. Greens. That's a question. Do that over here. There's smacking some shit around. Got him, boy? Did you get him? into it. Want to involve me in this shit? I'm gonna go ahead and do some investigating. You put the thought in my mind. As in talking about something else. We'll get to that. I'll get to that and later. I'll deal with that. Put a note. I'll deal with that later. It's a huge fucking inconvenience. But it's all BS anyway, so it'll be gone soon. There we go. Look at that. Looks great. Oh, all right, this one's extra. We gotta eat that. Grape and strawberry. I'll say strawberry, number one, then grape. Gotta try this. One's good. Yeah. All right. Strawberry, number one, grape, number two, orange, number three, lime, number four, yellow, number five. Yellow was yellow. Lemon. Should make it like banana. I don't think I'll go good with those. Top threes. Wait. 1, 2, and 4. It's funny how it takes a disaster to make you really change, huh? Should, instead of just corrective action, be proactive, not reactive. But politicians don't work that way. They only do things if they absolutely need to. Because they're fucking a-holes. Like trying to literally get that kind of power, like going out of their way to get that like position or power. It's being in that position or having that level of power. Because they're definitely right in their own interests at the expense of others. All you're gonna deal with shit. It's just the fact that you use your power. You operate in your own interest at the expense of people, claiming that is benevolence, claiming all these things, saying all these, what do you call them? Keywords, clickbait phrases. I think, come on. I'm drawing a blank here. Buzzwords. They're using all these buzzwords. Saying a bunch of shit, talking the talk, but never walking the walk. Yeah. Y'all suck. Take initiative, man. Actually do your jobs correctly. You are remiss. You do not represent the people, you simply represent yourselves, trying to build your own ego and trying to establish more influence and order. Yeah, new rule. You can't campaign for yourself. If people really want to vote for you, other people submit a ballot for you. we'll put you on a ballot or whatever, and you got votes from people naturally. You know, the people have to vote. If people want you there, they'll put you there. Exercise more. I exercise. Look at me, I'm eating fruit. Fruit flavors. Not a single bit of fruit in here. Hit our 2 hour mark, but I feel like I can do a little bit more. You really want to be talking about peace right now, buddy? Betterment. That's you don't have to. No one's forcing you to, but I want to be like a leader. Or I shouldn't be so focused on superficial things. What's on the inside? Depression management is still vital there. I mean, yeah, we don't want people to be superficial, but at the same time, wired to try to make sense out of things and brains gonna automatically create judgments and stuff like that. If you have the time, yeah, sure you can look deeper into it and listen to the other side, but just right off the bat, as a leader, you're creating your impression. It's kind of himself. Doesn't appear to be a role model, which I think kind of hurts him because it's gonna make people be super dismissive of who he is and what he's saying and what he stands for, just because, like, you know, dress is being very distracting. It's just one of many barriers that's gonna get in the way of an actual discussion and conversation about anything right off the bat. Bad first impression. Good first impressions. Can't go if you're doing this wrong, but whatever. That's how we learn. Hey, learning. I doubt it's 264 million. Okay, that's my options are under 1,000. So 200, we got 264 million, not correct. Okay. Cool, got it right. Wow, yes. It's fine, I don't have time right now. I'll just get it done. So explain to me how to solve this problem. XYZ company makes a product and has calculated the following amounts for direct materials. AQ times AP equals $150,000. AQ times SP equals $145,000, and SQ times SP equals $152,000. Compute the direct materials quantity variance.
To calculate the direct materials quantity variance, take the difference between the actual quantity at standard price and standard quantity at standard price. That's $145,000 minus $152,000, which gives you a favorable variance of $7,000.
Repeat that.
Sure thing. You find the quantity variance by subtracting the standard cost from the actual quantity at the standard price. That makes it $145,000 minus $152,000, which results in a favorable variance of $7,000.
All right, explain how to solve this problem. ABC company has set the following standards for 1 unit of product. Direct materials is 0.5 pounds at $1 per pound. Direct labor is 1 hour at $10 per hour. The company produced 35,000 units and had the following actual costs. Direct materials, 18,000 pounds at a total cost of $17,280. Direct labor, 36,000 hours at a total cost of $374,400. Compute the direct materials variance.
Total direct materials variance, the standard cost for the actual production. With 35,000 units produced, the standard quantity allowed is 17,500 pounds. At a standard price of $1 per pound, the standard cost comes to $17,500. Comparing this to the actual cost of $17,280 gives you a favorable variance of $220.
So you're taking the 35,000 and then multiplying that by 1 and then multiplying that by 0.5 pounds. You get whatever that is, and then subtracting 17,280 from that.
You found the standard cost.
Okay. So that monitor. Oh, dude, well, that's what I meant. Someone else going for it, yeah, raise. Oh, wait, no. I was going for that because I thought it was, maybe it was a manufacturing. Is it different? I thought it was like if you didn't use as much material as you were supposed to, it was unfair. This one I was in video. Talking about a different one though. It's a variance component to its actual definition. That's the cost variance component to its definition. Quantity. But used to manufacture the quantity of output. Standard quantity is the expected input for the quantity of output. Actual price is total. So what's the price often time? Yup. So that's what. Company has, oh, it said favorable now, not unfavorable. That was the same shit. Realize it now. Switches up the words. Ever so slightly. So fucking time. Sorry, pardon my French. Shit, it's up there. There we go. I did have it in my notes down. Attention when it comes to the exam. I'm trying to get the shit done. Oh, 100. Nope. 720. Very good. 5,000. Nope, 7,000. Oh, nope. Good. It's the price variance of the different stuff. I'm gonna come back and read it. I just don't have time this week too. I don't have time to understand it before it's time to submit it. Come back and do it on my own. Come on, I'm supposed to have a 1/4 chance here. Fifth order of materials quantity variance and next. Okay. Variable with direct labor rate. Expected. Oh, okay. Department area representative. Okay, so I was thinking efficiency. It's rate plus interest price. Okay. Efficiency. B. Nope. B. Nope. B. Nope. B. Nope. B. Yay. There we go. So I'll need that for the exam. Or it's 12:21. Technically, it's already tomorrow. We can do this. There. Overseas, lucky you. I tried to fucking do that, and now I'm getting charged with some bullshit. I wonder if fucking says that with me on section. Can't even make sure this time. It's fucking made up shit. I mean, like, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm wondering if I'm like getting like charged with some like just made up charge, just because like the government or whoever's in power or something like that, seeing like everything I'm trying to do and seeing all the changes that I'm trying to make. Like again, I feel like that's like super paranoid, like super conspiracy theorist, but like it is, I feel like a tiny itty bitty little possibility, considering all the AI and everything like that. I feel like maybe some sort of official or some sort of person in power may have heard about me and what I'm doing. maybe changing the YouTube algorithm too to have 0 viewers or anything like that too. I mean, I'm not producing like super high quality content here right now. I'm just like studying and just being more transparent and keeping a record of things. But part of me makes me wonder, the fuck's the government up to right now? Am I being targeted? Is this politically motivated? No, I think it's just chalk it up to incompetence of an officer. Like he just didn't fill out the report accurately and made up some bullshit. I don't know if it was to meet a quota or what, but it's definitely wasting taxpayer money. Could be taking on more cases that are actually legit, and I don't know. We'll see. Investigate that. Seems really, really weird. Whole entire thing's weird. Situation is dumb, and it's tripping me out. It's anything bigger at play. Like I said, tiny possibility, we can take it into consideration, but ultimately, I think it's more just the fact that one officer was lazy or maybe just trying to go home. Didn't really want to do shit, didn't want to do his job right, so ended up just saving a little bit of time by just writing whatever Haley was just fucking whatever shit she was making up. And it's ending up costing me a shit ton of time, but that's all right because like just inconveniences having to go drug test and do court dates and stuff like that, deal with all this shit, stress, time, aggravation. But I'm keeping a record, so I have a record of all the charges that the government's gonna have to pay up on, so yeah. They can't do their jobs right, so yeah, obviously they're gonna be held accountable. They're gonna pay their dues, and the day of reckoning will come. I got them. I got them. Definitely keeping track of all that. Like I said, if somebody was actually looking over all this and everything I'm doing, I'm sure they would have a way of like deleting all that or something, but I really don't think that's the thing. I think it was all just due to negligence and incompetence. And yeah, I mean, either way, they got to be held responsible. And so I don't care if you're the government or who the fuck you think you are. You're going to pay the penalty if you fuck shit up. And they're definitely fucking up. And it's only been brought to my attention because I'm realizing that it's affecting me personally. And so I'm like, oh shit, it's not only affecting me, it's affecting others. And so there needs to be a stop put to it. And there needs to be significant reformation implemented. I'm on it. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing for the sake of everyone, not just me. It's people, man, like you need to have an open mind, you need to be more intelligent, be more pragmatic, you know, forward thinking, more. You just gotta be more diligent and more competent, more. Just gotta be better. If you do something, you gotta do it to the best of your abilities. Lack of education. And we need to educate people better. I mean, that's a given, but I'm just saying, like, to what degree is are all these different factors that contribute to American being what it is. Relatively okay, but overall, compared to what we could be or should be, absolutely fucking horrible. But not terrible, again, but that's being relative. Compared to where we were and compared to other nations that are still kind of keeping up, yeah, obviously, like, we're better off than them, but definitely far, 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 far from the best. I wouldn't call it great. It's like, maybe it's okay. See, okay is a good word. America is okay, I guess, but not really. Even not that, because like there's so many issues we need to fix. It's not like these things aren't just okay. Like they're not something we can let slide. It's making progress. There you go. I'll give it that. I'll give America that. Making progress, but still far from where we need to be. I don't need to get into that. Talk about that enough. There. Let's get distraction off topic. It's all started because you said you were going overseas. Job right. Trying not to cuss as much. At least not in anger. Cussing for fun, it's fine. I don't shit about that. But just for shits and giggles, that's cool, that's fine. It's not intended to be offensive, but if you're angry, then yeah, the intent behind it is offense and criticism and contempt. So I'm trying to avoid that part. Trying to be more civilized and diplomatic. Trying to lead by example, trying to show the world what they should be. So lead with your words, lead with your actions. Don't worry, America. Don't worry, government. I'll show you what you should do. I will correct you. Not forcibly, but diplomatically. I'm not going to resort to doing things the way you do it. I'm going to resort to doing it the better way, looking for the best way. The way you operate contemporarily, insufficient. Very, very imperfect. Damn, there's some stuff I gotta get off my chest currently. Oh shit. We're good. Be chilling. Building relationships. So I'm just gonna read this out loud because fuck, I'm just gonna be like fucking scatterbrained. All right. Building and maintaining relationships and interpersonal conflict. Hello, students. Our next two modules discuss building and maintaining relationships and interpersonal conflict. Building and maintaining relationships. We spend time and effort building important relationships, but often don't think about how well we maintain those relationships. Relationship maintenance is crucial to show the other person how much we value the relationship. The module's full of content to transfer to your real life. The textbook offers research about the nature and purposes of our relationships, how we form them, the stages relationships go through, and the dialects at play within them. The phrase relationship dialects can be confusing. Essentially, it refers to the pushes and pulls, the tensions that are found in relationships. For example, we want the freedom to do what we want, but we also want someone by our side in life. Those things are sometimes at odds, and in interpersonal communication, they call those opposing needs a relationship dialectic. I added information to this module to supplement the chapters. Information is about the four horsemen of the relationship apocalypse. This is powerful stuff in understanding relationships and interpersonal conflict. Yeah, I know I'm skimming over it, but the four horsemen of the relationship apocalypse is actually pretty good material. So definitely good if you want to maintain your relationships, or you just kind of get an idea of where you guys are. Because apparently, statistically, it's saying that it has 90% probability. That is an A minus, but it's still an A. 9 out of 10%. 9 out of 10 is pretty damn good. If you had that good of a batting average, holy fucking shit, you'd be a legend. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Oh, I mean, I'll take it like I want to like say it's like the end of the world if like say predicts that you're gonna separate, but I mean say if it'll probably predict that you're separate if you don't change. Like that's the golden key thing right there is that you change and that you realize it. So this test or whatever the Gottman or whatever the name is, the test that they give, I'd recommend taking it so you can have an idea of where you are, where the other person is, and things that you can utilize currently or in the future to build, maintain, and all that with the relationships. It's good stuff. All right, interpersonal strips. Interpersonal conflict. After reading about the four horsemen, lead to the demise of relationships. The exam. What's the four horsemen again? It's criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Four horsemen situations. Explore conflict style within a relationship. Or find out if you tend to avoid conflict, compromise your position, compete to get your desired outcome, or collaborate to find an agreeable solution. You'll also look at your emotional vocabulary. That means the range of words you use to describe how you're feeling. Sometimes your emotional vocabulary is too small to help others understand us, so learning to use a wider range of words can help. Yes, definitely, because people don't know how to use their words. They resort to using their fisticuffs, shit like that. It's impulsive and primitive and dumb as fuck. So I'd recommend educating yourselves, just like I'm doing, and expanding your vocabulary, so that way you don't have to resort to violence and being a fucking dumbass. So students usually find the content in these two modules relatable and helpful to relationships. Hope that's true for you too. Yay! All right, next. Shit. Maybe that's really holy shit. I wasn't paying attention. I just saw a quiz. Okay. Technically, it's the 21st done by now. Okay. There's a thing here. Attention. I was just so busy reading shit. Let's try it. Let's go. Oh, shit. I even have it open. Oh, I'm done. I wasn't paying attention. I feel like I feel like I remember. I could have sworn. I do remember reading that now. Just totally slipped my mind. You gotta check up on me, man. ADHD. I'm not blaming on that. I'm not gonna use that to justify everything. Some my fault. So sorry. I'll get to it when we wake up. It's fine. It's technically the 21st. Not gonna matter if I do it now or later. So I'll leave that for the morning. Let's do that. Try to look at things up before things go here. Maybe you do some reading. And then I'll do that.
Cost accumulation system refers to the structured methods and procedures used in cost accounting to collect, accumulate, classify, record, and assign costs to specific cost objects. Its primary goal is to provide accurate, timely cost information for inventory valuation, pricing decisions, profitability analysis, performance evaluation, and managerial decision-making. Cost accumulation systems vary by industry, production type, and management needs. They form the foundation of systems like job order costing, process costing, and activity-based costing. Key terms and concepts. 1. Cost object, median. Anything for which managers want a separate measurement of costs. Examples: individual products, services, jobs, projects, customers, departments, territories, or activities. Cost objects are central because all accumulation and assignment efforts revolve around them. 2. Cost accumulation, the systematic collection and recording of costs in an organized manner, e.g., by job, by department, process, or by activity, involves identifying, classifying, e.g., as direct, indirect, fixed, variable, and recording costs from source documents like invoices, time cards, and material requisitions. 3. Cost assignment or cost allocation, the process of attaching accumulated costs to specific cost objects. 2 main approaches. Tracing, assigning direct costs that can be economically and conveniently traced to a cost object. Allocation, assigning indirect costs which cannot be easily traced using a logical basis. 4. Direct costs versus indirect costs. Direct costs, costs that can be specifically and exclusively traced to a cost object in an economically feasible way. Direct materials, raw materials used in the product. Direct labor, wages of workers directly involved in production. Indirect costs, overhead, costs that benefit multiple cost objects and cannot be traced economically. Examples: factory rent, utilities, depreciation, indirect labor, supervisors, supplies. These are pooled and allocated. 5. Cost pools, groups of homogeneous, similar indirect costs accumulated together before allocation. A company may have a single plant-wide overhead pool or multiple departmental activity pools for greater accuracy. 6. Allocation base, cost driver, the measurable factor used to distribute indirect costs from a cost pool to cost objects. Common examples: direct labor hours, machine hours, direct labor cost, number of setups, material moves, or square footage. A good allocation base should have a strong cause and effect relationship with the costs being allocated. 7. Costing systems by production type. Job order costing, job costing. Used for unique, custom, or heterogeneous products, jobs, e.g., construction projects, printing jobs, legal cases, shipbuilding. Costs are accumulated by individual job. A job cost sheet tracks direct materials, direct labor, and applied overhead for each job. Process costing. Used for mass production of identical or homogeneous units, e.g., chemicals, food processing, oil refining. Costs are accumulated by department or process over a period, then averaged across equivalent units produced. Uses concepts like equivalent units, conversion costs, and weighted average or FIFO methods. Hybrid operation costing combines features.
Uh-oh.
Not gonna lie. Bro, I'd say I voiced something.
Oh. Oh.
Getting tired, so I can tell I'm finding it a little hard to focus. So I'm gonna read this one out loud. Switch it up, focus, all that good stuff. What is power? Put simply, the definition of power is having the capacity or ability to act in certain ways or impose your will on others. But in a work context, people interpret the concept of power in different ways. Some people see power as something they receive from an external source. This could be an assigned title or position that gives someone control and authority over others. Other people believe power is an innate quality that can be cultivated internally and that manifests externally. In this sense, a person's personal power grows as they develop. True power is a combination of both internal and external power. This means that anyone can access a certain amount of power regardless of their position in the hierarchy. We've got an image, power, influence, and leadership. Power versus influence. Powerful leaders have a great capacity to influence others. Their power is based on a combination of their innate leadership qualities and the way others perceive them. However, having power does not necessarily equate to having influence. The most powerful leaders support and uplift their team members instead of dominating and controlling them. Also known as servant leaders, those who put the needs and development of their employees first have the greatest influence. Power and leadership. The most powerful leaders have clarity and self-discipline. This allows them to lead by example. Should be that way. By modeling disciplined behaviors, they encourage and inspire their team members to do the same. And when employees are self-disciplined, they require less micromanagement. This in turn increases the leader's power, creating a virtuous cycle of trust and self-leadership. Insightfulness is another key aspect of a leader's power. An insightful leader has the capacity to see the bigger picture and communicate that vision. Their insights give them greater power and influence over their team members. The greater the impact a leader can have, the more they will be perceived as powerful by their employees. Using your creativity to find solutions, make decisions, and set organizational goals can increase your perceived power among your employees. Confident leaders also have more power and influence over their subordinates. You can cultivate confidence by acting in line with your values and defending your positions. Understanding the bases of different types of power. French and Raven, researchers at the University of Michigan, identified 5 bases or sources of social power in 1959. 1. Legitimate. 2. Reward power. 3. Expert power. 4. Referent power. That's the one. And 5. Coercive power. It sucks. Before diving into the 5 bases of power, it's important to understand that they are not all equally effective. Some types of power may oblige your employees to comply with your demands, but they will fail to win employee support. That would be the coercive power. Nonetheless, these types of power can sometimes be useful in situations that require disciplining an employee. Other types of power are more influential. They help you gain the support and commitment of your employees, leading to better outcomes for your organization. By understanding the different types of power, you will know which ones are more likely to give positive results. You will also know which power bases you should avoid relying on too heavily. A great leader knows how to draw on different types of power depending on the situation at hand. So let's take a look at each power base in more detail. What are the 5 types of power? A study by Gallup found that managers have greater influence over employee well-being and burnout than working hours. With 76% of employees burning out at some point, this means that as a leader, it's essential to use your power wisely. Otherwise, you will drive employee disengagement and make your team less productive and more likely to quit, not to mention contribute to burnout. 76% of employees experience burnout on the job at least. Says we have 7% says always, 21 very often, 48 sometimes, 20 rarely, and 4 never. So you're using that 76, you're including sometimes in that 76. If you want always or very often, certain ones it's only 28%, and that's going to be drop your statistic down to 72. Or sorry, 72 not experiencing burnout. You're manipulating the numbers a little bit here, but okay. Say sometimes, yeah, well, I guess at some point, but even the sometimes, cut that in half or something. Come up with a little compromise between the two. So you could look at it one way where 72% don't experience it or 76% do. Or you could just cut that in half and sometimes in half or something like that. They're not. Apparently they're including sometimes, so it's fine, but it just seems like it's just distorts the information to push your narrative for confirmation bias. Let's remove your makes you seem less credible. Who wrote this? Elizabeth Perry. Okay. All right, Miss Elizabeth. I don't know, it might not be you specifically that fudged the numbers here, but trying to manipulate numbers to support your arguments isn't really a good way of going about it. I don't know. Could chalk it up to ignorance. Maybe she didn't do a whole lot of research or didn't really work that hard on it. Who knows? For all I know, she could have just copied and pasted all this shit. So, I don't know. Claiming it, just noticing certain flaws. I got distracted. Okay. To be a more effective leader, you must understand the 5 types of power, how effective each one is, and when it's appropriate to use them. Let's take a look at the different types of power. 1, legitimate power. This is a type of formal power that you receive when you occupy a certain position in your organization. Depending on that position, or depending on the position, it gives you authority within the company. It also lasts as long as you remain in that role. This type of power is recognized by subordinates. For this reason, it works well in hierarchical organizations, such as the military. Legitimate power is obtained through demonstrating you have the skills required for the role. Because this type of power is given, it can also be taken away. Good. Effective leaders don't depend solely on legitimate power. Absolutely. That's correct. Instead, they use it in combination with others. Bingo. 2, reward power. Reward power means having the capacity to offer rewards or benefits in exchange for carrying out a task or achieving a result. Rewards usually come in the form of raises, benefits, promotions, or public praise. However, this type of power is not always as effective as some leaders think. It should be relevant and tangible enough to motivate your employees. It should also be something that's within your power to give and doesn't depend on your superiors. This type of power may help achieve results, but it doesn't necessarily ensure the support or commitment of your employees. Yeah, they could take advantage of that, exploit you. Don't want that from employees. In moderation and reason. Okay. All right, 3, expert power. Expert power comes from having both deep technical knowledge and extensive experience in your field of expertise. When you're the expert in your field, people in your company naturally come to you to benefit from your knowledge. Your expertise gives you credibility, and people trust and respect your opinions. Expert power gives you the ability to influence coworkers across all levels of the organization. This enables you to steer the growth and development of both individual colleagues and the company as a whole. Yeah, people don't really object to the experts as much, especially if they don't know as much, because they don't want to look stupid. And they're not really going to object to you because you're probably going to point out the flaws in their arguments or whatever, unless they themselves aren't really that aware of the environment, impulsive or it's misinformed or something like that. they might, for whatever reason, stand up against you. They don't have as much expertise, but that's more just defensiveness and other factors that play into that. Either way, it shows faults on their side. It's a failure on their part. But it would be a failure on the manager's part if they didn't include other forms of power as well, just because, like, oh, I know everything. Being reliable and having answers, that's good. I don't know where I was. Company as a whole, however, a true expert knows they must continue developing their knowledge and skills to maintain credibility. We're almost done. Let's stay awake. Or referent power. Ooh, this is the one. Love you. This is the one. I have like so many places in my notes just to remind myself. The power that gives leader this is the type of power. According to Nicole Lipkin, author of What Keeps Leaders Up at Night, this is the type of power that gives a leader the greatest influence. You don't say. Leaders get referent power through qualities that inspire trust and respect in their colleagues. These include honesty and integrity. A person who holds referent power has excellent interpersonal skills and exudes confidence. This makes them natural leaders. They listen to their colleagues and offer help and support. This type of power is internal rather than external. It is a personal power that cannot be handed to you by someone else. As your referent power grows, so too will your capacity to influence your colleagues. That's one we want. And then there's coercive power, authoritarianism, fascism, Nazism. If you want to be radical or extreme about it, but coercive power. Coercive power is one of the most commonly used in many workplaces, yet it is also the least effective. In fact, this should be taught. This should be taught more. Maybe like a high school or like, well, I guess, yeah, college, but some point where people are able to grasp the concept of these different types of power. And then maybe at like some point in high school and then again in college or something. It should be drilled into people more often because people are leading others and the blind leading the blind doesn't lead to great results. Obviously. In fact, Lipkin advises leaders never to use coercive power. You're a smart gal, Lipkin. You are a smart lady. It is a lady, right? I think it is. Nicole Lipkin, yeah, okay. So I thought so. You go, Lipkin. Preach, sister. Never use coercive power. It's a failure on the manager's part. If you have to resort to coercive power, it means that you're not informed enough, that you're not as effective as you should be at your job, or not qualified as you should. And it doesn't mean you should be like demoted, like right off the bat. It just means that like, hey, you got room to grow. So you got to find alternative solutions for much better long-term resolutions. It involves using threats to force people to do your will. They might not agree with what they have to do, but they do it out of fear of repercussions, such as losing their jobs. This is still something that the government does, and that the church, maybe not as much, but definitely used to do a lot. And so that's why authority seems shady most of the time. Like anytime authority tells you to do something, you're like, this seems kind of sus. It's like, why? Like, how's this benefit me and how's it going to benefit you? Like, what's the real underlying reason? So I'm just thinking freely, being able to analyze deeply what people are saying and why. Ask who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, in many companies, leaders demand constant innovation and new ideas from their employees. Those who don't measure up face being replaced by someone else. Wow, that's like this whole cinema industry right there. That's acting and actors and whoever cast members and everybody on set, CGI artists, writers. Yeah, Hollywood's a really big perpetrator of this one, coercive power. It's like the whole entire film industry. Although it may work in the short term, coercive power creates unhappy, disengaged, possibly disgruntled. I added that myself, put that in parentheses or something. Employees and is best avoided. It can also negatively affect employee retention efforts. So power we got legitimate, reward, expert, information, connection, referent, and coercive. There's different types here. So we got 7 in total here. Information can kind of be linked to expert. Connection can be linked to referent. And then coercive, legitimate, reward, expert, referent. Yeah, we're good. So we're back down to 5. What types of power do effective leaders use the most? Which more are we? Okay, we're almost done. Effective leaders know how to draw on the different types of power in different situations. Versatility, very good quality to have. Being able to analyze each situation for what it is kind of like a case study and adjusting accordingly. This is usually a skill that develops with experience. Bear in mind that certain types of power are only effective in situations that require immediate action or resolution. In the case of employee misconduct, you might use coercion to persuade your employee to stop their inappropriate behavior. Use your discretion to determine whether this is the right course of action. Typically, positive reinforcements, more incentivizing, being able to show better solutions, different paths, different roads, different opportunities, and things by just shaping up and acting better. For the most part, you will rely on softer types of power to encourage employee commitment to organizational goals and plans. These include legitimate, referent, and expert power. The highly effective forms of power are referent power, that's number 1, expert power, number 2, and connection power. Moderately effective is legitimate power, reward power, sometimes kind of depends. I got that. And then information power. Okay. And then ineffective is coercive power. Duh. How to use the 5 types of power. It's important to understand each type of power before looking to apply it. Once you have a good grasp on each one, you can consider ways to apply them at work. Understand your goals. It's much easier to create a plan when you know what the end goal is. The same can be said for leadership styles and types of power. Before delegating or motivating your team, understand what you want to achieve in doing so. Understand your team. It's also important to know who you're speaking to and what they value. You can get to know your team better with async check-ins, one-on-one one-on-one meetings, casual coffee chats, or more structured employee engagement surveys. By familiarizing yourself with your team, you will have a better idea of which power types to use and when. Consider your leadership style. Are you a democratic leader who likes to hear from each individual before making a decision? If you have the time and resources to do so, absolutely. Or do you take a more top-down approach? I wouldn't resort to that right away. Different leadership styles, it depends on the situation still. Different leadership styles feed into support and various types of power, so try to think of them as a cohesive partnership for great leadership. Versatility. Got it. Reflect and revise your approach. You might have great success the first time you apply a new type of power, but if it falls flat and does not resonate with your team or your own values, then try another approach. Remaining flexible and being open to feedback will make the process easier. Yes. Agreed. Leverage the types of power wisely. The different types of power leaders can give you greater influence Wait, hold on. The different types of power leaders use. Oh, yeah. The different types of power leaders use can give you greater influence, boost employee engagement, and achieve better results for your organization. Knowing how to use your power is a skill that usually comes with time and experience. However, you can accelerate the process and become a more influential leader in less time with the support of a coach. Get Yourself a Life Coach and Elizabeth Perry. It's a decent article overall. The only thing that kind of bothered me was this whole chart. Maybe I just need more explanation. Trying to figure out exactly where you derive your numbers from, and I can see it here, but just seems like anyway, we're done with that one. 6 types of power. We can do that later. I'm tired. How long is this video? 11 minutes? No. Okay. We're going to sleep. Oh, we did 3 hours. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna aim for at least 9 to 10 hours tomorrow. I'm busy. Just edit this. I need to go to sleep. I invented those. Touch up the descriptions in some of the other videos in a second, just to put that. All right, we're good. All right, everybody have a great night. Have a fantastic night. I hope your dreams are as beautiful and sweet as you are. All right, I'm out. Oh wait, I need to